What is the worst thing you've ever seen or heard in a game of truth or dare? When I was a teenager, a girl I was trying to date invited my friend and me over to a house where she was babysitting. When we arrived, she was there with 4 of her girlfriends, including her one rumored STI-wielding friend. After drinking everything in the house, she thought the parents would have missed. We played truth or dare. Eventually, the girl I liked dared me to go have intimacy in the master bedroom with a girl. I passed and took truth, but my friend took the dare and went off with her. I came back out about 5 minutes later and no one believed they had done anything. 9 months after that, everybody believed them. Story 2. One of the popular girls in my high school admitted to regularly pooping in her hand. She took truth and was asked to tell an embarrassing secret or something like that. She admitted to using this rather unorthodox method to avoid noise when using the bathroom and then slide it quietly into the water. She went from being a popular girl to being the hand poop girl pretty quickly. Story 3. Well, it was one of those teen church lock-ins where they have a bunch of games and activities and you can't leave till morning. Well, I was sitting around with my group of friends there. It was past midnight and all events were finished, so nothing really left but to just play the game. There were 7 of us, 4 guys and 3 girls. One of the girls suggested that we play truth or dare. Everyone agreed, all excited, and I was the last to speak up and said, "I'm game." That is when 2 of the girls, one was my crush, said at the same time, "We kinda don't want you to play. Could you go away?" I was crushed. I slowly got up and went over to the SNES and looked through the box of games and found Zelda: Link to the Past. I popped it in and played the rest of the night till morning by myself. What sucked was that I was in the same room as them, so all night I got to hear all the laughs and giggles. I got to watch them go off into the hallway each time, felt like a sting in the back. So there's my sad story on how I was excluded in Truth or Dare. Story 4. My friends and I loved this game in high school. One day I came up with a best dare. You had to be blindfolded and someone would kiss you and you'd have to guess who it was. Well, eventually everyone just wanted to play that game, so we did for a few rounds. There were like 8 or 9 of us, so one person would be blindfolded and everyone would vote on who had to kiss them. It was always a good mix of genders. Guy, girl, girl. Well, it got boring eventually because everyone was just doing a light peck on the lips. So we invented round 2. Round 2, you had to kiss them for 3 seconds and actually move your lips a little bit, like a real kiss. Round 3, you had to make out with them for 5 to 7 seconds. Round 4, you had to use your hands and touch their face and shoulders. On particularly wild nights, we would go to round 5, where you would have to make out furiously with them for 10 seconds. It was a great game, though, and to be honest, it taught me how to make out properly because at the end, we rated everyone's kissing. Story 5. I got dared to use a zipline that nobody had likely touched in decades. So we climbed up a mountain while wasted in the middle of the night, found that my friend was not bullcrapping, that it actually did exist. Used our zip on it and sailed over a 1,500-foot drop, and then the thought occurred to me that I had no way of getting back. And I'd not even brought a flashlight with me and had absolutely no knowledge of part of the mountain I was on. So I basically stood in place for 7 hours or so. I don't know if that was the worst, but it was definitely the most stupid. Especially considering that the whole point of the game was to get with some girls who were no longer in a partying mood after I disappeared into the night. Story 6. At age 18, while at a friend's house, digging around looking for a lighter, he finds a toy in his single dad's room. It was one of those hot pink sparkly toys with a rabbit thing on it. Something that didn't really seem like a toy for guys, and it was in the spare nightstand, so we assumed maybe an old girlfriend or something. Fast forward a few weeks later, his dad is out of town. There are a few of us playing Truth or Dare, and I dare him to do something to his dad's toy. At first, his face turned 10 shades of red, embarrassed in front of everyone else, but then he manned up, grabbed it with a Ziploc bag worn like a glove, then rubbed some habanero peppers all over it. This was a Friday night, and his dad was supposed to be back Saturday. Saturday night rolls around, and he, our other friend, and myself were all at his house, quietly as the one sneaking in, and I had been drinking. This was roughly 8 p.m.-ish. As the other friend and I stood in the driveway, we heard the most god-awful, curdling scream. We dash in just in time to meet our friend in the hallway as he flies into his dad's room. His mom, dad's ex-wife, is on the floor, curled up in a ball, screaming. Apparently his mom and dad had been messing around behind the family's back. A hospital trip followed, and after spending the night in the ER, not knowing what the heck happened, they ended up coming out in the open, getting back together and then remarried. That was 12 years ago, and they're still together. For their wedding present, I gave them a jar of habaneros that they still don't understand to this day. Story 7. One time I was dared to kiss the girl, and I passed because I was in a long-going relationship with a girl I really love. 3 years, and so I did this instead. I poured really hard rum in my hand and lit it. I had to keep it lit for as long as I could. Once it got too hot to handle, I had to put it out. Part of the dare, though, was to put it out with a watermelon next to us. So I proceeded to punch it open with my flaming fist and stick my hand in it for 3 long, annoying, sticky hours. Story 8. Fairly tame, but seasonally timely. In high school, a group of friends were playing Truth or Dare, intoxicated, after a party at my house. One of my friends had a crush on a girl and was trying hard to get with her. So when it was her turn to ask him, he suavely stated Dare. She told him to put one of the lights adorning the nearby Christmas tree into his thing. When he did, she was disgusted and ended up loudly sleeping with another friend in an adjacent room, like soul-crushingly loud, while he sat on the couch nursing his thing. 'Tis the season, I guess. Story 9. I was at a Truth or Dare party in college. Everyone pays $5 to get in and gets the same allotment of Monopoly money. You bet people to do things and accept bets, and whoever has the most at the end of the night got to keep the door. Greatest party ever. I just dared girls to make out with me all night, until I ran out of money, so I had to accept a couple dares. Someone dared this other guy to eat a zebra cake off my back, and dared me to allow him to. I figured, I'm not eating it, no big deal. It wasn't that terrible, but it did get my back all sticky. I also felt like I couldn't really complain because of what the other guy had to do. Story 10. Not Truth or Dare, but never have I ever. We were playing, and my friend's husband was there. We're all in college, and after losing every round, he was very irritated. He's also in the army and has served 3 tours in Iraq. Well, we're all pretty intoxicated at this point, so my friend can't think of anything he hasn't done and says, never have I ever terminated someone. This guy jumps up, screams, God damn it, how do I keep losing? And walks away. His wife was like, hey, honey, it's because you have the most interesting life. Story 11. I'm so sad I'm late to the party here. This is gonna end up 6 feet under, but anyway. It was a guy's sleepover when we were maybe in junior high. Lame as hell, but we decided to play. There's not much you can do without any girls there, so our dares had to get a little creative. One guy gets dared to stick his thing in the vacuum cleaner. No way he's doing it in front of us, so we let him go into a nearby room. We hear, vroom, followed by, oh man, that feels so weird. We all find it hilarious, so that becomes the go-to dare for everyone else. Several more guys venture into the other room. The same thing happens. Vroom, followed by various exclamations of wonder and surprise. Then it's Doug's turn. He gets up, walks into the other room, a brief pause, and vroom. Ah! How do you turn it off? The host had to run into the other room to shut down the vacuum and rescue poor Doug from the mouth of the snarling beast, while he continued screaming in terror. Turns out he was the only one who actually did it, or at least no one else would admit. After that, they did it for real. In the end, we only had evidence on poor Doug, and no, he never managed to live it down and eventually left the school. Story 12. Not really Truth or Dare, more like their distant cousin, Would You Rather. Anyway, Dave Franco and Christopher Mintz-Plasse McLovin came to our school to promote their web series thing and teach a class at my college. Halfway through the presentation, they had a Would You Rather skit they made play and asked if the audience had any questions. Now, I was this brand new, lowly freshman who miraculously got tickets to this big event thing by sitting in line for hours. I was by myself in a sea of seniors. I slowly raised my hand and they call on me. Reddit taught me well in the Would You Rather arts, so I decided to try one out on them. My heart was literally pumping out of my chest as I proceed to ask Dave Franco and McLovin, would you rather watch your parents have intimacy for half an hour every day or join in once to make it stop? The entire audience erupted in laughter as these guys just kept asking specifics. By that point, things just got weird, so I think they just said no to the question and moved on. Really awkward experience, but hey, it counts as an interaction with celebrities. Story 13. We were playing Truth or Dare in college, mostly because one of the girls wanted to fool around with one of the guys. It had been going on for a long time and had gone really lame. So I decided to liven things up by asking one of the guys when the last time he had intimacy was. I was a little bit nervous because he was Bosnian and sort of religious, and I didn't want to make him feel bad if he was pure, but we were pretty friendly and I didn't really think he was, so I asked anyway. He got really shy and said he'd take dare. I backed off, afraid that I was right. He was pure. So I tried to dare him, but the other intoxicated girls got a hold of him and pressed until finally he said, right before Christmas. We were all surprised because we knew he wasn't dating anyone. So they asked for details and he said, I went home for winter break. His parents live in Eastern Europe. And when I was there, I had intimacy with a street worker. But you have to understand, it's different there. I felt so bad. So bad. It shut the game down. Everyone was like, it was horrible. Story 14. I was in high school playing with my first serious girlfriend and other casual acquaintances. The truth question that was asked most often was, aside from your current boyfriend or girlfriend, who would you want to have intimacy with? I answered honestly, naming a girl who was not there but that other guys had mentioned as well when they were asked. My girlfriend took it in stride. Then the question was posted to her. I can almost remember her answer, word for word, 15 years ago, give or take. Well, whenever I imagine having intimacy, it's never really a face, you know? It's just like, there's this man and he's wonderful, but he doesn't have a face. And a girl chimed in, it's your husband. And she replied, yeah, I think it is. This was devastating to me because, number one, she just revealed to everybody there that we weren't having intimacy despite the fact that we'd been dating for nearly a year. While I was fine with waiting as long as it took for her to come around, it felt very important back then to at least hint to others in our grade that we were having intimacy even though we weren't. So I was outed as pure. Number two, she just revealed to me and everyone else that even when she simply thought about intimacy, it still wasn't with me. Number three, when she imagined her future husband, that wasn't me either. This was especially devastating because, in my foolish teenage way, I had every intention of marrying her. That truth or dare game turned out to be the beginning of the end for us. Story 15. It may be too late to post this, but here goes. I was once playing with my brother and a couple of kids from the neighborhood. It was a rural town, and one of the kids we were playing with wasn't the brightest. He never wore shoes and was always covered in mud. Just imagine a ginger version of Tom Sawyer. Anyway, his turn comes around and he chooses dare. After the rest of the group and I brainstorm, we come up with the idea that we want to make him a milkshake. Being the masterful chefs that we were, we decided to create our own version. The list of ingredients are as follows: mayonnaise, relish, sour cream, half a can of stale Coors Light, the ashes from an ashtray, and a few of the remains from a frog we attempted to catch earlier that day. Anyway, after we blended all these ingredients, we poured him a nice frothy glass of this delicious treat and he drank it down like it was nothing. I still remember that as being one of the strongest displays of willpower. He just grabbed the glass and chugged it down. I also remember this as being one of the most painful sessions of retching I've ever seen. Story 16. Mine isn't all that crazy or anything. When I was about 11 or 12, a big group of my brother's friends were over. Mix of guys and girls. My brother is a couple years older, so about 13 or 14. Okay, so they start playing Truth or Dare. Of course, it starts out pretty boring, with most people too scared to choose dare. The first dare was to kiss, of course. The girl was all for it, but the guy was really scared for some reason. I wasn't really participating. We're just chilling on the bed, playing Game Boy, I think. I don't remember who it was, but someone decided to say, "Hey, you should just show him on MH337. Luckily, the girl was okay with it, and of course, I am okay with it. So she kisses me and all is good. So after this, the dares start to pick up. Most of them being kisses, with who being the practice dummy? Me. That night, I kissed about 7 girls. It was a glorious night. Story 17. I was at my friend's 29th birthday party when we started a game of Truth or Dare. It may be too old for this. It being my friend's birthday and knowing how timid she is, I dared her to wash me in the shower. Upon hearing my dare, she instantly stared, frightened that my fiancé was also playing, and without missing a beat, my fiancé said, "He hasn't showered in 2 days. He could definitely use a good scrubbing. Make sure to get under the arms and don't forget the taint." Needless to say, the entire party crammed to the tiny bathroom and everyone was entertained. Story 18. This wasn't really a truth or dare, I guess, just truth. There were 5 of us, and for the past year at school, we'd hung out a lot. It kind of became a thing for us 5 to go down to a place in town and smoke. One time, whilst skinning up, one of us asked, "What's one thing you've never told anyone?" It went around the circle, but I can honestly not remember what any of us said apart from our friend Dave, not real name, who hit us with, "I once had intimacy with my sister." After having sat there in stunned silence for a while, my, to this day, best friend, Andy, said, "You will never speak of this again." And in silence, we walked back to school wondering what else our friend hadn't told us. For what it's worth, his sister was freaking hot. Story 19. In a big group, which included 3 to 4 close friends, and my brother and sister and a couple of their friends, everyone was pretty intoxicated towards the end. I wish I drank much more than I had. It was my sister's turn, and she did a truth. She must have forgotten I was there, but her best friend asked her what the craziest thing she did was. This is where it all went wrong. I didn't want to know what she'd done, so I just stayed quiet and started doing stuff on my phone. There's no way to block out what was coming. I'm crazy attracted to my brother, and I always think about him when I'm doing it. A couple months ago, I went into his room in the middle of the night and convinced him I was his girlfriend and messed around with him. Everyone started going crazy, yelling and screaming, and I just froze. Everyone there knew my girlfriend, who wasn't there herself. Now you may ask how she convinced me it was my girlfriend. My girlfriend gets frisky during the night for some reason, and I never do. I don't mind helping out a bit, but I'd rather sleep. Yes, I know that's weird, but most of the time she doesn't want to do the full act, so she takes care of herself or just involves me slightly. So in the next few days, as I thought about it more and more, and I realized that I remember a night when my girlfriend went all out on me. It didn't mean much to me at the time. I fell right back asleep and didn't think twice about it in the morning. This was this past summer, and I've only talked to my sister 2 or 3 times since. I don't know if she knows she said that during the game or not. I don't even know how to end this post. It's still freaking me out every time I think about it. My girlfriend doesn't know. I think she would probably throw a fit if she did know. It's not like I asked for this to happen. I don't know how to handle the situation with either of them. Story 20. Oh man, here we go. I had skipped school with a few of my friends. We went back to my place and hung out. A few more people showed up, and then we all started playing Truth or Dare. The truths and dares were becoming progressively worse until one of my friends, Janice, got dared to use a hot dog. Well, she did it, and then the hot dog broke in half, leaving the other half inside. After a while of trying to get it out, we had to resort to calling a non-emergency responder, so two gorgeous EMTs showed up, and they brought her into the bedroom. About 10 minutes later, they came out with the remainder of the hot dog in a Ziploc bag and left without saying anything. Story 21. I was in high school, and my friend and I had decided to go to this girl's house for a party. Apparently, a girl he really liked was there, and a girl that I liked too, so what the hell? So as the party wound down, it was me, my friend, and these three girls, one of which was the girl he was into, so we decided to play truth or dare with a bottle. Either did truth or dare, and you drank a shot. I was driving, so I declined from drinking, but they were sleeping over, so they didn't care. My friend spins the bottle and lands on the girl he likes. He was just sitting there for a minute. I guess he was thinking of all the things he could try to make her do, but it looked to me like his brain broke. Then the host was like, "Hey, hurry up already." My friend just blurted out, "Stick this bottle in." She sat there, looking at him with the weirdest look, and then did it. It was all so surreal. I couldn't tell if it actually happened. After another hour, it was time for me to go home, so my friend hitched a ride. As we were driving, he asked me if that really happened. I said, "Yep," and we rode off into the night. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 22. When I was about 15 years old, my high school soccer team had a co-ed, girls, guys team, spaghetti dinner that turned into a co-ed sleepover. Maybe about 6 guys and 5 girls. We ended up taking a bottle of really cheap Mr. Boston vodka from this kid's parents, and all of us began drinking much faster than 15-year-olds should. I was begging to feel pretty nauseous, but was determined to stay in the game of truth or dare that we had started. I was then dared to kiss the back of one of the girls. As I pressed my lips to her, she thought it would be hilarious to grab the back of my head and fart right in my face. The heat and smell were too much for my stomach to bear, and as I pulled away, I retched all over her back. Story 23. I was at my girlfriend's house. There were a bunch of people there, including her mom, dad, brother, and a bunch of our friends. I think it was her mom's birthday. Anyways, there was the usual, "I dare you to kiss so-and-so. Have you ever blah blah blah." The first crazy thing was a friend being dared to let someone give them a tattoo with a needle and ballpoint ink. However, someone dared me to give my girlfriend's mom a toy for her birthday. They had it on them, brand new and in the package, ready to go. Why they did, I never asked, but a dare is a dare. So I went and wrapped it up as best I could and went to her mom and said, "Happy birthday." She gave me a hug and said thank you and opened it right there with her husband and a bunch of their friends and all my friends watching. They were all actually good sports about it and laughed, and she even asked, "Okay, who put you up to this?" Story 24. This all happened sometime just after graduating high school. I should note she was extremely attractive in that girl next door sort of way, but I'd never given any thought to the two of us fooling around, as I simply never got the idea that she was attracted to me in any way. I don't remember how it happened, but a sort of acquaintance or friend from school and I ended up spending some time together. At some point, we decided to go down the street to the old house that my family had moved out of. I still had a key, and the owners were doing some work on the house. It was completely empty at night. I seriously don't recall why we were hanging out. She was more of a friend of friends of mine, but there we were, hanging out on the top floor of an empty house. She suggested truth or dare, and we did the standard truth or dare stuff. At some point, it became clear she was doing everything she could to make me as uncomfortable as possible, so I did the same. The truths fell away, and it became a game of dare versus dare to make the other person admit defeat. I wasn't about to be defeated by this girl. I dared her to do stupid stuff. She did the same to me, which was especially exciting. The dares fell away to simply do this, do that. The dare was implied. We didn't go all the way, but I did end up holding her in my arms for the night. We ended up going out for about a year, but she eventually cheated on me with a friend of mine, and blah, I moved on. Still, it was one of the best nights of my life, as it was pure, unadulterated, exciting fun. Just thinking of it, even now, it can make me feel a strong physical reaction. Story 25. A little late, but whatever. One night back in high school, somehow we ended up playing truth or dare in my buddy's car. I think we were on the way to get food from somewhere. He had a Cherokee at the time. He was driving, and I was in the passenger seat. The back seat had these two incredibly attractive ladies. 2 other friends were piled in the trunk. Basically, they were passive dares, call someone and say this, throw this out the window at that house, etc. Anyway, a dare came up for the girls to expose themselves to us. Naturally, they had no reason to turn it down because it was dark outside and therefore dark in the car. We couldn't see anything even if they did it right. Wrong. As soon as they did it, I threw open the passenger side door and the interior lights lit up their melons in all their wonderful glory. Story 26. A friend avoiding truth because he had a new girlfriend picked dare. My other friend, not ready for a dare, sat for a minute, then finally said, flippantly, "I don't know, set your couch on fire." Now at this point, I should point out that he lived on the 2nd floor. My friend meant for us to carry the couch outside and set it ablaze. Without hesitation, my dared friend took out a lighter and tossed it on the couch. We sat in stunned silence for a few seconds as the couch went up in flames. We then realized that running would mean the house might burn down. I yelled, "Window!" And we grabbed the burning couch and pitched it out a second-floor window, luckily not hitting anybody or anything. Story 27. Okay, freshman year of college. We had this really pretty girl, let's call her Amanda, and this kind of nerdy, but at least he's a trying guy, let's call him Bob. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Everyone's happy, having a good time. About 8 to 9 people in the circle. Someone asks Bob, and he chooses truth. Who do you think is the cutest girl in our dorm? Without a moment of hesitation, Bob turns to Amanda and says it's her. Time has made the details a bit hazy, but I'm pretty sure I remember him saying, "It's always been you since the moment I laid eyes on you," and other similar things. He's giving a romantic comedy speech here. The big moment where he confesses his love, she leaps into his arms, and blah blah blah. He finishes, Amanda is staring at the ground, very uncomfortable. Everyone else is cringing at maximum capacity. Amanda excuses herself from the room, and it was so much worse than I can possibly describe it. Story 28. Oh boy, do I have a story. I was at summer camp. I'm 17 with friends of similar age, so we decided to play Truth or Dare to set up my friend Craig with this girl, Brittany. Now, time goes on. She gets a dare, and we tell her to make out with him. Of course, she did not feel comfortable and decided against it, so we sent her out of the room. Immediately after she left, good old Craig grabbed the girl to his right and started making out with her. Everyone just kind of sat there in shock. Before there was an eruption of cheering. The other girl felt bad and walked back in on this moment, and that is the worst thing I've seen happen during Truth or Dare. Story 29. Well, I remember playing this with 7 people once in my house when I was 23 or 24. 4 guys, 3 girls. One girl, pretty hammered like the others, was asked, "What is the worst thing you've ever done behind your boyfriend's back?" By another girl. Without even pausing to think, she mentions how she cheated on her boyfriend with a coworker of hers a few times. To which we all looked in horror at her boyfriend, who was in the room with us. I guess she just forgot he was there or something. Well, the guy was like, "What?" Then got all mad and left, and she chased after him, saying she was just joking. Anyway, they broke up. Long story short, and the whole thing was spoiled for the game that had only been going on for 5 minutes at that point. So it ended. Lol. Story 30. Years ago, about 20 of us were having a group lunch at work and just talking about whatever. We were laughing when the new guy walked in and asked, "So, what are you guys laughing about?" Jokingly, I replied, "We were going around the table and telling everyone our most embarrassing stories, and let's see, it would be your turn." To my surprise, no one told him that I was kidding. To my further surprise, he then began telling a story. The story was kind of long and involved, but it basically boiled down to him having an affair with his wife to meet up with the other woman. He told his boss that his grandmother had passed away. Later that night, he got a call from his mom asking if he knew why his boss had sent her flowers. When he was done telling the story, everyone was silent. After about 20 seconds, I sheepishly said, "I was joking about us sharing embarrassing stories, but thanks for sharing yours." Story 31. In freshman year of high school, we had a bonfire at a friend's house, and a few girls showed up. We also got a hold of a bottle of hot damn, so we thought we were about to have one hell of a night. The kid I grew up with, who was dumber than a rock, was trying his best to impress these girls, so he decided to bring up Truth or Dare. It took the bait, and after a few rounds, they dared him to get in the pool. It was a mid-October night in Michigan, so being that it was 40 degrees out, he refused and got thrown in anyway, clothes and all. Insisted on playing more after this, not sure what his plan was. They're not going to let him give them a dare, but he tracked on. Next up was to either go back in the pool, which he had just gone out of 5 minutes before, or have barely any clothing on and run around the house 3 times. He chose the latter, and after the second run around, some of the other guys there decided to chase him down the road a few blocks, then throw him back into the pool. A second time. Story 32. Very late to the party, but I like this one. Me and my friends are super hardcore gamers, just so you know. So a while ago, I was at my friend's house with 2 other friends, and we were just chatting, playing some Halo, and we decided to do Truth or Truth. We couldn't really do dares as we were in the middle of a match. One of my friends asks, "Brett," we'll call him that for now, "what's one of your celebrity fantasies?" And as if it were nothing, Brett says, "I don't know. I think Taylor Swift would look pretty hot in an Arbiter costume." We were all silent, as the Arbiter is an 8 1/2 foot tall alien. After a minute of silence and everyone stopping what they were doing, minus Brett, he said, "What about you, huh?" Story 33. Oh my god, this brings back bad memories. I was playing Truth or Dare at a friend's sleepover birthday party in elementary school. It was really late at night, and we were in his basement just being typical crazy sleep-deprived idiots. We were also at the age where we just started using the internet. One of my friends dared another to look up inappropriate contents on the basement computer, and he did. Not only did it scar the few of us who looked at it, but the next day my friend's super uptight helicopter mom searched through the computer's internet history to see if we were looking at any inappropriate content last night. We were. It was bad. Probably worse than she could have anticipated. She called all of our parents and told them what we looked at. Being super uptight and overconcerned, she probably made it sound really bad. All of our parents thought that we were looking at those contents all night. I tried telling my mom that only one of us looked it up as a dare, but as I was telling her, I could hear how much it sounded like I was lying. It was bad. Story 34. I watched in horror as a gym-wide game of Truth or Dare with the high school football team became a literal measuring contest. My group of spotters and myself tried to live through it all, but at one point, everyone in the gym had circled around this one skinny kid named Special K. Special K earned his name when he was caught engaging in a Super Kmart. I really hope he made the story up as a joke, which would be just like him, but several people confirmed it actually happened. Anyway, literally everyone in the gym had circled around this kid and let out a collective gasp, followed by screams of surprise and awe. It was at this point that we could no longer ignore the situation and had to ensure that we weren't about to become collateral in whatever was about to go down. I yelled from across the gym to ask what all the commotion was about, and the response is something I cannot forget. Special K is the biggest thing I've ever seen. Bully for him. Story 35. I just moved to Huntington, New York for a summer job where we had a sales team live in an old mansion. It was a 12-bedroom, 9-bathroom mansion, and it was old and creepy, but the basement was especially scary. Down a steel spiral staircase were the historical living quarters, a huge walk-in safe, a large furnace room, and a big open concrete room. People had just started arriving for the summer, and at this point there were 6 of us. We were playing Truth or Dare, and one girl was saying things like, "I'll do any dare, and I don't believe in ghosts," and stuff along those lines. So I dared her. Go into the basement, place your hands on the back of the concrete wall. We're going to come down with you, but leave and turn off the lights on the way out. You have to wait till the lights are off and then turn and walk out of the basement. She agrees, and we go down. We get her to place her hands on the wall. We walk away and up the spiral staircase, and we turn off the lights. We wait, and about 5 seconds in, we hear a curdling scream, and we can hear her footsteps as she sprints towards us. We flip on the lights and race downstairs to meet her. She looks at us and she says, "I heard footsteps coming toward me." Story 36. I'm not sure if this counts as Truth or Dare since there's no truth option, but at my high school we had this thing called the odds game. Basically, you dare someone to do something. They say a number 1 to 15 based on whether they're willing to do it or not. You go high if unwilling and low if willing. And you count down from 3 and say a number at the same time, and if it is the same number, they have to do it. Anyway, the best ones I can think of are getting my friend John to brush his teeth with barbecue sauce, and the other was at Kennywood, local amusement park, where we got my friend Harrison to walk up to a man and take a bite of his corn dog without asking. Harrison got a really crappy look and got yelled at before offering to buy the guy a new one. Funny crap, man. Story 37. I'm a bit late. Here goes. I'm not exactly the most social person around. In fact, I have no friends, to put it bluntly, although I did manage one night to go to someone's house. Cool. Real cool. Basically, I arrived at around 4 o'clock and went in. 2 guys, 2 girls. I thought I was going to make some friends. So I sit down in the circle and we eventually start playing Truth or Dare. So we played a few rounds, nothing big really happening until one girl dared the other to kiss me. Whoa, I thought, instantly stifling my wry smile. Kiss me? Okay, sure. So I'm sitting here with a raised eyebrow, feeling awkward as heck. She then starts laughing, going on about how nobody's going to love me in life. They got the whole circle involved. Eventually, they decided to kick me out. One of the dude's moms, who lived there, was quite confused, of course. They offered to send me a lift home, call home, etc., but I refused because, don't want to cause trouble. Mom wasn't picking me up for around 2 hours. Oh well. I sighed, sitting on their front step. It was pretty cold at that point, and now I had to wait 2 hours. After a long while of them peering out the window to taunt and giggle at me, or their mother coming to check up on me. She didn't know about the situation. I didn't say anything. My mother finally picked me up, took me home, the usual, yeah, good day stuff. Needless to say, I cried myself to sleep that night. Woke up in a crappy mood, went to school meeting the kids who were still taunting me. They'd actually gone as far as to spread rumors and stuff. It was a crappy day. So yeah, there's my story explaining why I don't leave my house. Story 38. I was playing Never Have I Ever with about 10 friends at a party, in which one of them I was interested in, but at the same time she had a boyfriend. Another happy couple had their turn, and the girl said, "Never have I ever cheated on my boyfriend." And everyone stood still. You could feel there was tension. Everyone, except me, was really intoxicated. I'd been drinking a little. Then the girl I was interested in slowly started drinking, with a most terrified look. No one remembered it except me, and since her boyfriend wasn't there, he had no idea. I felt so bad. Also, I went on a date with that girl some months later, since her boyfriend broke up with her for unknown reasons. Story 39. I was playing Truth or Dare with a girl who I liked for a while. Some of her friends and a few of her friends, his friends, who were brothers. Well, everyone had very obviously rigged the game, so I couldn't do anything very intimate with anyone else besides the girl I liked, and she couldn't do anything intimate with anyone else either. Which was completely fine by me. But the rest of them made dirtier and dirtier dares as the game went on until the finale, where two of the girls were dared to have intimacy with one of the two brothers. And I know they did because we could clearly hear the whole thing from the living room. Apparently, the brothers switched between the two girls. One of them was about 7 months pregnant, too. Kinda messed up, but oh well. Story 40. A matter of months ago we played it, but it was after the game ended that the guys were half-heartedly daring for us girls to make out. I made out with my new college friend, which I was shocked she would do, though I had a feeling it would end up that way. She kept saying how much she loved me and that if she was lesbian, I'd be her soulmate, etc., etc. Then my male college friend's new girlfriend came in, who I met that night, and I made out with her. Then we ended up having a triad kiss, which was weird, but awesome. Said I'd never had a triad kiss, and so we did it. Story 41. When I was about 17, I went with my brother to a mutual friend's house. Let's call him Iron Fist. Story for another time. It was the mid-90s, a golden age of tomfoolery. Parents across America would regularly say, "You scoundrels be good. The missus and I are going to our room for the evening. Don't disturb us and the house is yours for the night." So much crazy stuff happened, but one funny thing. We were there on a random weekend. Our friend's dad, who we all called the Pharaoh because he would regularly task us with labor, told our friend to clean out the fridge. We looked in the fridge and there wasn't much to clean. It took us about 3 minutes, but there was a giant container of dill pickles. Iron Fist started pouring the juice into the garbage disposal. My brother asked him why he was doing that. Iron Fist declared that the pickles would be disposed of. My brother argued that the pickles were still good. He wanted them. Iron Fist said that they were horrible tasting pickles, not fit for consumption. My brother called him a wuss. After a few volleys back and forth, it was dared that my brother couldn't eat the remainder of the pickles. There were 7 whole dill pickles. At that point, we, about 4 guys and a girl, were outside cheering him on. The housing security drove by, saw us, and drove away. My brother ate 4 of the pickles. He then proceeded to retch the pickles back out. Instead of congratulating himself, Iron Fist pulled out his wallet and handed my brother the contents, roughly $13. He left the giant jar on the side of the road. There it sat for almost 3 months, shaming my brother into silence whenever we drove by. Although nobody knows for sure, we all suspect my brother finally threw the jar away. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. Catch you in that video.